Backlash 2025. Dominik Mysterio defending his Intercontinental Championship against Penta. What a clash. Let's dive straight into what made this match tick.
Definitely. So, okay, let's set the scene a bit before Backlash even happened. Dominik Mysterio, he won the IC title at WrestleMania 41. It was a fatal four-way.
He basically immediately started calling himself the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Over and over again. It was quite something.
It really is. I mean, think about the history of that title. The commentary audio even brings it up. Hall of Famers, legends have held that belt.
Yeah, absolute icons.
So for Dominik, relatively early in his career, to just stake that claim, it's audacious, right? It tells you a lot about his character straight away.
Definitely paints a picture. Okay, so that leads right into Backlash. The audio commentary set it up as pride meets punishment.
Which fits perfectly. You've got Dominik with those huge claims, and then Penta, who the commentary said has really taken WWE by storm.
And this is his first big shot, right? First singles title opportunity in WWE. The buzz was definitely there.
It creates a great dynamic, the brash champ versus the exciting newcomer. And the commentary team, you had Alicia Taylor doing the announcing, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett on the call, and they really leaned into that contrast, built the hype. Right from the get-go, the crowd reaction for Dominik Mysterio was, well, surprisingly positive, like a real strong babyface pop.
Oh, really? Like louder than usual for him?
Yeah, some reports compared it to the energy he had back at WrestleMania, which is pretty significant for a guy who's usually, the villain.
That is interesting. But apparently someone in the crowd had a sign during Dom's entrance. What was it? Razor Ramon's toothpick hits harder than you.
Ouch! That's pretty brutal.
Yeah. Dominik's gear.
The tribute.
Yeah, a tribute to his godfather, Nico the Millionaire, the original Psychosis.
Ah, nice little detail with the gear, leaning into his heritage while still being the arrogant champ.
Right. Which is cool history.
It is. And Meltzer's notes actually mention he thought Conan was Dominik's godfather. So funny how those details get mixed up sometimes.
Yeah, the public perception versus reality, right? Okay, so match starts. Dominik coming out really aggressive.
One account mentioned Mysterio just shoved Penta right away. Aggressive start.
Okay, and Penta.
Fired right back. Drop kick. Just immediate back and forth action in those first few moments.
But Penta didn't just roll over, right? He had his own offense.
Oh, yeah. He hit that spinning takeover, then his pop-up super kick. He even locked in the backstabber, the double knees to the back. Got a 2 count off that.
Sounds like classic Penta. Dynamic stuff.
Mysterio apparently launched Penta crotch first onto the top rope. Ouch.
Yeah, never fun.
Then he drop-kicked Penta right off the apron to the floor, hard fall. But then Mysterio pulled off something pretty impressive early on.
What was that?
A suicide dive, but he transitioned it straight into a DDT on the floor.
Wow. Okay, so dive through the ropes, catches Penta, DDT right there on the outside. That's high impact.
Definitely. And the reports say the crowd absolutely ate it up. Got a huge reaction.
I bet. And then Penta got driven into the steel steps hard. And the commentators were like, that definitely hurt him. You could tell it took a toll.
Yeah, that adds to the punishment narrative, right? Softening Penta up. Even a resilient guy like him feels that.
And Dom stayed on offense.
Precisely. He also hit his slingshot senton for a near fall. He even did Penta's walk, mocking him.
I'm playing the heel.
Totally. Then he kind of switched gears, started trying to grind Penta down. Lots of stomps. Put him in a rear chin lock for a bit.
Trying to wear him out. But then things change. Penta came back and hit Dom with a sling blade.
Yeah.
I also saw mention of a big crossbody off the ring post to the floor.
Yeah, that was in there.
Pulling out the stops. But Mysterio weathered it.
He did.
And there were counters, too, right? It wasn't just trading moves.
Right. Well, that's their styles clashing, isn't it? Dominik, maybe more grounded, opportunistic sometimes. Penta, all athleticism and risk-taking. The commentary did a good job highlighting that. Sets up the big moments later. We also saw Dominik use some familiar moves. He tried the 619, which Penta reversed. Penta followed up with that quick kick from the apron.
Yeah.
And a slingshot crucifix bomb, which also only got 2. He was really throwing everything at Dominik. Showed they'd both done their homework.
Good back and forth psychology. Big moment. But Dom hit Oblivion.
Dom hit Oblivion.
That's Liv Morgan's finisher, his girlfriend.
And the commentary pointed that out, didn't they? Mentioned Liv was away. It weaves in those other stories.
Exactly.
Commentary apparently pointed out it wasn't quite as smooth as hers.
Hey, okay. But it still nearly won the match.
Yeah. Got another 2 count. Added to the drama,
Using his dad's move, his girlfriend's move, It adds layers.
Yeah.
Even when Liv isn't there, it feels like she's part of the story.
It absolutely does.
But Penta gave some back.
Oh, yeah. Big time. He hit that insane Mexican destroyer, the flipping pile driver, on the ring apron.
On the apron. Good grief. That's dangerous for both guys.
Totally. Both crash hard to the floor after that. Looked like it could have been the end right there.
You'd think.
Yeah.
But this is where things usually get complicated with Dominik's matches, isn't it? Interference.
Bingo. Carlito shows up at ringside, and almost immediately he's distracting the ref, pulling his attention away.
Predictable, maybe, but effective.
Mm-hmm.
And Judgment Day wasn't far behind, I assume.
You got it. JD McDonough and Finn Balor came out. McDonough actually held Penta.
Okay. Blatant interference.
Right. And then Balor, well, this is weird. The reports say he took a really long time getting a steel chair, like noticeably slow. Said he fiddled and farted around, took forever to actually do anything.
Yeah. Fiddled and farted. Seriously. Slow enough for the ref to see.
Exactly. The ref caught them and ended up ejecting both McDonough and Balor.
Interesting. The commentary apparently picked up on that too, suggesting Balor might have been dragging his feet on purpose, maybe not fully helping Dominik.
Yeah, adds another layer to that whole Judgment Day internal drama, doesn't it? The speculation about Finn turning or something.
For sure.
Yeah.
Keeps that simmering.
Yeah.
But Penta didn't just let them walk away.
Nope. Even with all that chaos, he managed a big dive over the ropes, took out both Carlito and McDonough on the outside.
Taking out the trash. But the chaos wasn't over yet, was it? There's another person involved.
Unbelievably, yes. While the ref was still dealing with Balor being ejected, yelling at him on the apron, El Grande Americano appeared.
El Grande Americano. Okay, where did he come from?
Out of nowhere, it seems. And he headbutted Penta with what the reports called a loaded mask.
A loaded mask headbutt. Seriously. Okay, that feels excessive.
Yeah, some felt it was maybe a bit too much interference piled on, kind of overkill after Carlito and Judgment Day, but it definitely knocked Penta loopy.
And Mysterio capitalized.
Immediately hit the frog splash, his dad's move, right off the top rope. 1, 2, 3, it was over.
Wow, how long did the match go?
Clocked in around 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Pretty quick, but man, they packed a lot in.
So Dominik Mysterio walks out, still the Intercontinental Champion,
Yeah.
but not exactly cleanly.
Not even close. And that seems to be the story, right? The commentary, the reports, they all highlighted the interference-heavy finish. It's kind of his thing now.
Dirty Dom. Living up to the name. It's part of his character. Using Judgment Day, using whoever to keep the title.
And the weird part is, as we mentioned, the crowd reaction. He's cheating, but he's still getting these big babyface pops sometimes. It's a strange dynamic.
It really is. Fans seem to almost enjoy the rule breaking or at least acknowledge the character work. It definitely blurs those old face heel lines.
Absolutely. And this messy finish, well, it sets up a bunch of possibilities, doesn't it?
For sure. You've got Penta likely gunning for El Grande Americano now after that headbutt. Maybe bring in some other Lucha guys to back him up.
That makes sense. And then there's the whole Finn Balor thing within Judgment Day. Is he really on Dominik's side? Is he going to maybe bring someone new into the group? Lots to watch there.
Definitely. It's interesting, though. One take I saw felt this match was actually the weakest of the night.
Oh, really? Why?
Felt it was more like a Raw match, focused more on just advancing these interference storylines rather than being a great standalone wrestling match.
I can see that perspective. But others
apparently quite enjoyed it, maybe exceeded lower expectations, largely because of that unique crowd energy for Dominik.
Right. Shows how subjective it all is, what people look for in a match, story versus action versus atmosphere.
Exactly. And Penta, despite the loss and the interference, still came out looking strong, right? His athleticism, his connection with the fans.
Oh, yeah. Universally praised. Some people are even saying they want to see a darker version of him now, like a murderous Penta.
Ooh, that could be interesting. A more violent edge after being screwed over like this.
And they explicitly link this finish back to Gable's whole issue with luchadors that had been mentioned before.
Right, that storyline.
And that little detail from earlier sources about Dom helping Gable learn the dark arts of lucha by giving him a phone number.
Ah, so that earlier detail paid off directly here. The sources connected those dots.
Connected them very clearly. Dom's favor to Gable, helping him learn the dark arts, results in Gable helping Dom retain the title against a luchador.
Okay.
It really makes you wonder about Gable's motive, right?
Which brings us nicely to Dave Meltzer's analysis, Mr. Wrestling Observer himself.
Right. So Meltzer rated the match 3.5 stars. Solid match quality.
Okay, decent rating.
But he also said the finish was predictable.
Predictable. Really? Watching it live, it felt like anything but.
Well, predictable from his perspective, likely thinking about the bigger picture, the long-term booking.
Ah, okay. What was his theory then?
He figures this whole chaotic ending is basically set up. It's building towards Penta versus El Grande Americano down the line. He even suggested a mask versus mask match might be where it's headed, logically, based on the characters and the history described in the sources, similar to what Rey Mysterio was doing before his injury.
Makes sense. Mask versus mask would be huge there.
Lots of questions.
And it's not over. Penta beat Gable clean on Raw the next night. So, okay. Payback started, but the feud's clearly rolling.
Definitely. Penta gets some revenge, keeps the story hot.
Meanwhile, the audio caught Wade Barrett making jokes, saying he and Dominik are now neck and neck for the greatest IC champ title.
Yeah, Barrett's commentary is great for that. A bit of humor, and it also kind of subtly undermines Dominik's boasting.
It does.
Yeah.
So, okay, beyond the match, lots of other stuff mentioned.
Yeah, like ads for, what was it, Doom, the Dark Ages.
Yeah, that video game.
Yeah.
And Riyadh season. Oh, and that Old Spice ad with The Miz.
Right, and they plugged UFC 315 in Montreal, too, that TKO synergy showing up.
Definitely. It shows how these WWE shows fit into this bigger entertainment picture now. Cross-promoting with UFC under the same roof.
Makes sense from a business perspective, leveraging both fan bases.
They also hyped the next Raw AJ Styles versus Finn Balor was teased. And maybe CM Punk showing up.
Always teasing Punk. Keeps people tuning in.
And they promoted Saturday night's main event, too. Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. And they even threw back to the first ever SNME from 1985. Showed Randy Orton's dad, Cowboy Bob Orton.
See, that's smart. Connects the present to the past. Uses that history, that legacy, which is such a big part of WWE. Reminds you how long they've been doing this.
Speaking of history, they really pushed the John Cena versus Randy Orton match happening later that night.
Oh, yeah, the stats they threw out were wild.
Weren't they? Like, their third Backlash match, 11th one-on-one at a PLE, 24th time fighting with a title on the line, and then listing all their world title reigns combined.
It just puts that main event in perspective. You've got these huge established legends clashing, which kind of elevates everything else on the card, too, including the IC title match we just dissected.
Good point. And randomly, they also plugged the new Karate Kid movie. Saw some fans dressed up even.
Yeah, wrestling and pop culture, they always overlap. It's all part of the big show.